I've watched businesses light money on fire, like take $100 bills, stack them around, pull out a torch, and just blowtorch that on ad spend. Do you know what I mean? Most business owners are burning through $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 because they go at this blindly because they don't understand the most important part of running all of your ads. It's called the meta pixel. And the word pixel confuses everyone because if you were born before 1990, like me, you refer to it as like a little dot on a screen. But really, it's just a little piece of code here. You can think of it like a little GPS device that plants into your website. And then once it sees someone visit your website, it sort of follows them around, right? So that you can start serving your ads and chasing them there with it. If you're not using the pixel, you're flying blind, you're wasting a lot of money. So today we're going to talk about 3 basic misunderstandings about the pixel and then how to add it to your website. So welcome back to another episode of the Chad T podcast. This is the show for business owners making $1 million to $6 million that want to grow to 12. And just so we're clear, we're not making any income statements here. I've worked for businesses as small as $40 million, as large as $700 million. I've seen this firsthand. It is possible to make money, but the reality is most businesses never see $1 million a month, even though that's considered a very, very tiny business by most business metrics within the United States. So if you're new to the channel, we talk about paid ads, growing your business, and then how to essentially double your revenue. And if you're a returning viewer, I'm so happy to see you again. Thanks for being here. I'm your host, Chad Tabry. Let's get into it. So number one, what's so important about the pixel? The first thing is shows you who's actually serious. I was doing a video before this, an interview with a cleaning service. And a lot of you guys on the service side, you have like get a quote page, right? You know, so if you're plumbers or builders, any type of service industry, a real serious prospect will hit your page and then click get a quote. And then on the other side of that quote process, there's kind of a thank you page, right? You understand what I'm saying? Think about this. If Facebook came to you and said, "Dear Mr. Owner, how would you like to track every single person that hit your website?" You first might think to yourself, that sounds great, let's do it. But how many people hit a website about real estate and then they find out it costs $300,000 to build it and they're like, oh wow, I'm broke, I can't be here, and so they bounce. There's a lot, right? So not everyone's an ideal customer. But what if Facebook also said, listen, Mr. Business Owner, what if I were to create an audience that I was going to show all your ads to, and they looked just like the person that got to the other side of that get a quote? You tracking me? This is really big. So the most genius thing about this pixel is it shows you who's actually serious. In fact, when you become a sophisticated advertiser in your business, your goal is really to groom that pixel, that piece of code. You want to just load that pixel up with examples of people who are willing to put in your data, willing to get that quote, and willing to have these phone calls. And then when you have ads or creatives that you're sending out to the market, you're going to look for people that hit that button or look like them, and you're going to follow them around. So everything else outside of that is literally just throwing money, buckets of money, into like Google's owner's yachts or Zuckerberg's 100-acre farm in Hawaii or whatever that thing is. Does that make sense? All right, so number 2, it stops you from paying twice from the same customer. Have you ever had this experience? It doesn't happen as much to me now because people are more sophisticated. But have you ever seen ads and something was a great fit and you like bought it, you know, maybe a book or a course, or there's this necklace I like to get for my wife. And then you go back on Facebook or Instagram and you're still seeing the ads, right? And you're like, dang, I really wish they would stop like trying to hustle me for another $300. Like I just spent the $300 with them. Well, if that brand would have had the pixel and was looking at conversions as to successful checkout, right? Then it could have gone into its ads and excluded the audience of people who have already checked out. Because why, and then, I mean, there's upsell arguments, I guess, but why would you want to be sending your initial offer back out to somebody who already paid $300 and is not likely to buy again for another 6 weeks to 6 months? Another example of that is if you have content that you want to strategically layer to your prospects and customers, like it overcomes objections or it has different calls to actions, you don't want to keep showing this guy or gal the same video, right? So you can go into your ads and say, okay, anyone who's watched 5 seconds of this, exclude them from this ad now, right? So there's a lot of tight little grooming that you can do. Again, when you start thinking strategically about the ads, and that's probably what's the most powerful about getting the pixel up and running on your landing pages. Not only do you want to know who the customer is so you can stick that little badge on them and follow him or her around, you also want to know when this badge, like, check the green box so you can put that thing away and not follow him or her around. So it prevents you from burning ad dollars on people who don't want to see the ad, or really to people where the ad's not appropriate anymore. Does that make sense? So number 3, which is my favorite, which we kind of discussed earlier here, is it gives you what's called this lookalike army, or it's this lookalike audience. And you can do this on the general side. Anyone who's showed interest, watched these videos, looked at this website. But really, I like the qualified leads. Anyone who's a qualified lead, who's put in some skin in the game, like taken the time to click through these things, fill out some information, and tell them about myself. I want to find thousands of those in my 100-mile radius. Do you know what I mean? So the pixel allows you to start populating the algorithm in a sense. Have you ever been, here's a good example. Have you ever been on your feed and, like I like cigars and I like G-Wagons and, when I was young and single, it would have been like thick thighs and brown hair or whatever. But you notice that the algorithm just keeps feeding you what you've been paying attention to. It's because it's picking up on what you like and it's showing you lookalike content. Well, in the same sense, you can go back to Meta and say, look, I really like these people. Send this advertisement out to lots of them. And this is powerful. You could take this, you can build these audiences even with your customer list. If you have 3 or 4 pieces of data on them, it'll anonymize it, presumably, according to what they tell Congress. But like, you could go and say, here's the 1,000 people that bought from me over the last 5 years. Serve my ad to 1 million people that look just like them. So there's this spin that you could put on advertising as the owner. And this is what I want you to really consider. I don't want you to think about these things as just pulling a slot machine lever down anymore. What I want you to think about is, how do I create value and content that gets viewers from people that are likely to buy my product? And here, let's digress on this for a second. This is important because I was talking with the RV dealership, and some successful videos in the RV world, they have a very attractive girl in like a golf skirt, right? So it got 10,000 to 200,000 views, but it didn't sell more RVs. Really, really let that sink in. Do more views with the hyper attractive young girl sell more of your product? And like the answer is no. I mean, you can test it yourself if you want. You'll get a bunch of views, you won't get a bunch more sales. So you want to focus on generating the content that creates that real customer, that kind of customer that's actually going to spend money with you. And then now in your quote to cash model, when you think about that lead generation side in the top left quadrant, your job now as the business owner is to ask yourself over and over again, how can I cultivate this feed, cultivate this pixel so that I'm flooding it with people that I want to target all over the nation, or even just in my 100-mile radius? So it might seem a little bit confusing. I promise you, in the age of ChatGPT and videos like this, you can figure it out. But if you want help, I would love to help you. So reach out to me in the comments. There'll be a link in the description where you can request a quote also and see how I can help you. And let's dive in and make you some more money. So if you like this video, I want you to hit like and subscribe. Leave me a comment below. I'll see you in the next one.